solidarity against this dictatorship, against our country to be sold to third one. And it's very important for Belarus to keep our sovereignty.
Yeah. Do you expect, even though there is now this Russian narrative of liberating Donbass, so the forces and the direct threat from Belarus to Ukraine, it seems like it disappeared. But are you afraid that it will come back? The role that Belarus under the illegitimate president is playing right now?
I'm sure that the fact that Russian troops, most of them have been withdrawn from the territory of Belarus, is not the merit of Lukashenko, it's the merit of Belarusian people. Because Belarusian people, for this months of the war, they didn't give opportunity to Russian troops to feel safe in our country. Belarusian disrupted a railway to stop Russian military equipment reach Ukraine. Belarusian people made pictures of missiles launched Russian equipment and sent it immediately to Ukrainian military forces, for them to be prepared. And Belarusian army didn't enter the territory of Ukraine because our soldiers don't understand why they have to fight or die. For whom? For dictators, and they didn't have this moral understanding. Why do they have to fight against our brothers and sisters Ukrainians? So Putin didn't find reliable partners among Belarusians. He has collaborated Lukashenko, but Belarusian people didn't afford to use our soil in full. But look, dictators are unpredictable, and who knows, Lukashenko again, or maybe Kremlin will use our soil to attack Ukraine from north again. Because Lukashenko has to pay debts to Putin for his support in 2020, and he's vassal, he's collaborant, he accomplice of Kremlin at the moment, and he fulfills whatever he said.
And it doesn't bother him to sell his soul?
He doesn't care about our country, he doesn't take care about people. He cares only about his own power, about his throne. That's it.
You're here to receive a very special prize for Freedom Award. Can I ask you your feelings on that?
I'm really very proud and excited that I got this prize. But I have to say that it's not my prize. It's prize for all Belarusian people who so fearlessly fighting against Lukashenko's regime for these years. We are fighting for freedom of speech, for freedom of moves, of media, and so on. And this is tomorrow I'm going to explain that wonderful people of Netherlands have all those liberties, but such countries as Belarus are fighting for it. A lot of people have sacrificed with their freedom, lives, with their health, to gain these freedoms. And, you wonderful people have to cherish what you have, because you maybe sometimes forget how it's important to cherish what you have, and of course to support those who are on their path, difficult path to gain these freedoms, to gain democracy. And it's important to show solidarity to those people. I talk about Belarus at the moment, and Netherlands have been supporting Belarus many years before and now, and I really see very reliable, wonderful partner in Netherlands, and I hope, I'm sure that we will be wonderful friends in the future.
In 1945, 5th of May, we got our country got liberated from the Nazi German occupation. And since then, we did not experience a threat in a way that Belarusian people are experiencing for 2 years now, or well, actually longer under the repression of Lukashenko. And absolutely not what's going on in Ukraine. So you have to be 80 years old or even older in the Netherlands to kind of experience and feel how important freedom is. Can you give me some advice on how to treasure freedom? Because unluckily you are experiencing that as well.
I think maybe the only way to remind young generations what you take for granted is to help those who are fighting for this liberty, to show them reality of different countries, to show them different experiences, how people can be put in jails for 18 years, like my husband, just for saying something against regime, just for saying that we want to choose our future by ourselves. We don't want to be conducted by a ruler who is keeping his power for 28 years for all those corruption schemes. We want to be free in our country. At the moment in Belarus, about 1,500 political prisoners. People are sentenced to 11, 15, 10 years in jail only because they wanted to be free. That's it. And in prisons, wonderful journalists, wonderful architects and scientists, wonderful people, young people, students. So pretend the country where like you live in Gulag and it's awful and you can't say anything against regime. You are becoming enemy immediately if you if you want to be free. It's forbidden in our country. So, and when you show our stories, when you tell about such countries as Belarus and other countries who are fighting against dictatorship or for liberties, it will be the best lessons for free people, for them, to cherish what you have, not to bring your country to this situation, to dictatorship.
But can I ask you?
Free people very often can't understand what people in dictatorship feel.
Yeah.
They ask, why don't you go for rallies and say that you are against? Because you immediately will be in prison, you will be tortured, you will be put in jail without water, food, pillows, blankets, you will be beaten until almost death. So this is your future in dictatorship.
I wanted to ask you, don't you feel powerless yourself?
I don't feel powerless because I'm not alone. I'm not in the country, but I know that 90% of Belarusian people are against this regime. It's impossible to go for huge rallies because, again, you will be jailed. We already have a lot of political prisoners and their families are afraid for their lives, for their children. Hundreds of thousands of people had to flee the country because of repressions. Just imagine you live and you can be detained at any moment. You can be kidnapped, put in jail, and your relatives will look for you for weeks. But Belarusian people woke up, and I know that people will not be returned to that state of mind, the state mind of slaves that we have been living for many years. And I know that people want the changes, and regime will never again will be able to change this mind. And this is the first step for liberty. So I feel huge support from Belarusians in the country. I feel huge support from Belarusians who fled the country because of repressions. I feel huge support from Belarusians who left Belarus many years ago, and now they organized like Belarusian diaspora in every country. And I feel huge support from democratic countries. Without this support, we would be much more fragile in this fight where Lukashenko has his security apparatus, his OMON and KGB. Maybe your listeners